Aloha and thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk Energy, where we discuss all things energy on Maui, Molokai, and Lanai. I'm Kauiawai Dixon with Maui Electric, today's host. As we continue to push ever closer to our state's ambitious clean energy goals, protecting the environment and ensuring public safety are part of these efforts and continue to be priorities, huge priorities for us as a company. Protecting our environment is something we take very seriously. This is our home, and we, like all of you, want to take care of it. For this reason, we have dedicated staff of environmental experts whose job is to make sure that we are doing everything we possibly can in our day-to-day operations and planning for the future to malama and adhere to the guidelines established by the Department of Health. Being good stewards of our land, of our aina, is something that our company and our employees are really passionate about. So we partner with community organizations across our 3 islands on projects that have a truly positive impact on our environment. So today, we'll meet with a few of these partners, including our friends at the Maui Nui Botanical Gardens, and we'll catch up with a couple of our environmental engineers. But first up, from the Maui Nui Seabird Recovery Project is Project Manager Jay Penniman. Thanks for joining us, Jay.
Aloha.
Really good to have you here with us today. So the Maui Nui Seabird Recovery Project actually started sort of in some ways several years ago in what we used to call the Save Our Seabirds sort of project, and a partnership that we had with Jay and the county and several others, and it's evolved and it's grown significantly. And I think one of the keys to the success, of course, in large part due to the great work that Jay and his team do, we all knew well ahead that creating awareness and education were key components, and just getting to a point where the community and people were aware of the plight of our seabirds. So Jay, tell us a little bit about Maui Nui Seabird Recovery and some of the work that your team does.
Sure. Maui Nui Seabird Recovery Project is a project of the University of Hawaii out of Manoa, and we work really closely with the Division of Forestry and Wildlife here on Maui, who are also part of the Save Our Seabirds group that Maui Electric leads. And our job as a seabird recovery project is to try and restore these populations of seabirds, which used to be the most numerous birds in the island. There were so many seabirds that at night the stars would be obliterated by the seabirds coming in. There were so many of them, the sky would just be closed over.
And it's really hard to believe now.
It's really hard to believe.
With so few of them that we see.
And those seabirds are responsible for building the soils that we have. They brought the marine nutrients to the land and mixed with the lava that made the soils that all of our plants evolved in. So they can still be a critical part of our ecology here if we bring them back. They're not only doing that, but people that go fishing go and they find seabirds to lead them to the fish. When the Hokulea was traveling, they used seabirds for navigating. Seabirds are really important parts of our lives. And the thing is, most people don't notice them because they come to land at night.
Right.
They're out to sea all day long, and at nighttime they come and they go in their burrows, all the ones we work with, and that's where the chick is. The chick is raised there, and then it comes out and leaves that burrow, comes back 5 or 6 years later to the same site to breed.
And there's so many folks, as we said earlier, education and creating awareness and such. And I wasn't even aware of what you just shared regarding soil, and we've been working with Jay and his team for several years, but that's one component that I really did not know about it, the ecosystem and how it all is sort of like the circle of life.
Indeed.
Yeah, and they play, a huge role, a critical role, these endangered seabirds. Tell us about some of the birds that we would see right here in Maui County. What kinds of birds would we see right here?
So down along the beaches, and especially at places like the south end of Cam 3, the big open field, if you're right down along the edge, you'll see all these. The county just this year put up a new string around the area to keep people from walking in to the colony of Uwa'ukani, the wedge-tailed shearwater. They're the birds that nest all around the shoreline. They're about a 3-foot wingspan, and their body's about 15 inches long. And they are known locally as crying babies, because when you go down at nighttime, you hear them, oh, oh. They will go on all night long.
And I'll tell you, sometimes if you're not familiar with the sound and you don't exactly know what that is, it can be a little bit startling.
It can.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. And you're right, it goes on all night.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then up on the top of Haleakala is the ua'u, the Hawaiian petrel, that used to be the most numerous birds in the islands. When the Polynesians first arrived, the ali'i used to eat the chicks. They had special sticks they would stick down into the burrows and pull the chick out. And the common people could eat the adults. They ate so many that by the time the Europeans arrived, there were none of them left on Oahu.
Wow.
And now they're all restricted to upper elevation areas. And their biggest problems now are cats and rats and mongoose. If they're a little bit lower in the forest, even the pigs can get them. So our job is to protect them. We can build fences to keep them out. We can trap out the predators. And the other big issue is light distraction, especially for the chicks in the fall when they're leaving the nest for the first time.
So that's a good point. Timing is everything. And here we are in September. And annually, the fall months, September, that's fledgling season. So tell folks exactly what fledgling season is, because everything Jay is sharing with us right now kind of culminates to some extent during this time of year. So it's really timely.
That's right. So fledgling season is when the chicks have gotten big enough, in fact, sometimes even bigger than the adults. They've grown all their feathers, and they're ready to leave the burrow and go out to sea to catch their own food. They eat fish and squid. And they go out from the burrow at night. They come out and they orient with the stars and the magnetic scent of the earth, and they know right where to come back to, as well as knowing the odor of where they came from. Then they leave the nest at night, and they should be attracted by the moon and the stars out to sea. But unfortunately, some of our lights distract them, and they come, and then they just kind of don't know what to do. They fly round and round and round and round, and they'll go way up in the air, and then they'll come way back down, and then they'll crash on the ground totally exhausted. And there, they're vulnerable to cats and dogs, and they get hit by cars. And that's where people can really help. If you're aware that these birds are out there and you see a big bird on the ground, you can call 573-BIRD, and we will come and get that bird.
And that's such a important component, though, understanding, during fledgling season, which is during the fall, if you should see a bird up there and just continuously circling, typically in an area where there are lots of lights, just means they're confused. Yeah?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, they're trying to find their way, right?
Some idea is that some of the food that they eat is bioluminescent at night, and so it kind of has a blue light to it in the ocean. And maybe these young birds haven't refined that instinct yet, so they're coming to that excess blue light in our lights and then circling around it. So if we can reduce the amount of blue content in our light, like when you go to the store to buy an LED light for outside, get one that's 2700 Kelvin or less.
That's
because
a good
that
point.
means it has less blue in it, and maybe it won't distract the birds as much.
Right. So that's a small thing, that folks can do, to contribute to saving our seabirds. Yeah.
And even easier is just turn your light down so that it lights the road or the sidewalk just where you need to walk, or put shields on them, or turn them out if you don't really need them.
Absolutely. By all means, that kind of comes back to just conserving, and using our resources wisely. And if we don't need it, then turn it off. Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb.
You can also use motion detectors. There are lots of places where we need lights for safety.
Yes.
And so when somebody comes walking along, the motion detector turns on the light, and then it's lit up. When they go away, light goes back out.
It goes out when the need is no longer there. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I know you said this earlier, but where can folks learn more about Maui Nui seabirds?
Well, Maui Nui seabirds is, you can just Google that, and we have a website. Or you can call, if you find a bird, 573-BIRD. That's 2473. And then one of my staff or myself will respond and come and help you with that bird. If you find a bird, you can, and nobody's around, you can't call, You can be really careful, wear gloves or a towel, pick it up, put it in a box with a towel in the bottom and ventilation holes, and then just hold it until you can call us and we will come and get it.
No food or water, right?
No food or
I
water.
remember
That's
that.
correct. Yes.
Absolutely, no food or water.
Yep.
Call for help. They'll come and get them and do what they can to care for them. Yeah.
That's right.
Also, there is a handout actually that we do every year. We include it in as a bill insert. So if you've got your bill online, it'll be a link right through for your bill online that has all the information that Jay's been sharing with us today. Really great information. Jay and his team will actually be joining us at our Maui Electric Energy Fair, which is on September 16th, Saturday, at the Cuenca Ahumanu Center. They have been a partner with us at the Maui Energy Fair for how many years?
At least 10, maybe
Yes,
11
yes,
or 12.
yes, several years. So goes back some time. But Jay, we appreciate the partnership. We appreciate you being here today and educating folks. And we look forward to seeing you on the 16th.
Yes, well, we appreciate everything Maui Electric has been doing, and we're fully supportive of the push to get to completely sustainable energy.
Yes.
It's a really great goal.
It is indeed. Yeah, it's all about taking care. So again, mahalo for watching Let's Talk Energy. When we come back, we'll be talking with our friends from Maui Nui Botanical Gardens.
What have gray and white feathers and webbed feet? Seabirds. The fledging season is now through December, when they'll leave their nest for the first time and may get confused by lights or fly into structures and fall. If you find one on the ground, place it in a cool area in a covered cardboard box with air holes and call 573-BIRD. Please, no food or water, and don't release it. If you find a downy chick near the beach, don't pick it up unless it's in immediate danger. To learn more, visit mauinuiseabirds.org, brought to you by Save Our Seabirds Maui.
Today we're going to explore what happens when you do a home energy assessment.
What's a home energy assessment?
A home energy assessment is a checkup residents can do to determine if their home is wasting energy and money.
There's many different ways to do a checkup of your home's energy use. We're going to provide our viewers with some tips from Hawaiian Electric Company's Energy Savings Toolkit. One of the first and easiest things we can do to conserve electricity
And reduce electric bills.
is to make the switch to Energy Star qualified CFL light bulbs, or even better, LEDs. Changing just one regular 100-watt bulb to an energy-saving CFL can save 80 kilowatt hours and more than $24 per year when used 3 hours a day.
Well, another thing you can easily do is use power strips to eliminate phantom loads. Basically, energy that's inconspicuously drained throughout the day by appliances or other plugged-in devices, even when they are turned off or not in use.
The efficiency of refrigerators and freezers has improved considerably. Older units are typically 2 to 3 times more expensive to run than a new unit. Make sure your refrigerator door seals are airtight. Test them by closing the door over a piece of paper or a dollar bill so that it placed across the seal. If you can pull out the paper or bill easily, the latch may need adjustment or the seal may need replacement. Allow ample space on each side of the refrigerator and freezer and around the condenser coils for air circulation. Airflow increases energy performance. Unless you have a no-clean condenser model, unplug your refrigerator and clean its condenser coils regularly. Your fridge will run for shorter periods with cleaner coils.
Open your windows to let Hawaii's fresh trade winds cool your home. Or you can use a fan as an alternative to using an air conditioner. Assuming your AC unit is about 12,000 BTU hours and running 8 hours a day, this can save you approximately $80 a month. If you must use an air conditioner, try to keep the thermostat at the warmest comfortable setting. Each degree above 75 degrees Fahrenheit saves you approximately 3% of the energy used to cool your home. For maximum efficiency, maintain your air conditioner by cleaning its filter and vents regularly. Replace worn filters altogether. Also, only use your AC when the room is occupied. Refer to the user's guide to understand the cost of running your unit every hour. You'd be amazed how much you can save by simply turning it off when you don't need it.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Energy. with Maui Electric. Just a reminder, we want to hear from you. So this show is about education, it's about you. If you have an energy-related topic, a great idea for a future topic, send it to us at letstalkenergy@mauielectric.com. So today we're meeting a few of the folks we partner with to Malamara Islands in our environment. So joining us today is Tamara Sherrill, Executive Director of the Maui Nui Botanical Gardens. Welcome, Tamara.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So every year, Maui Electric partners with Maui Nui Botanical Gardens and Tamara and her team. And we partner in an event that happens the first weekend in November every year. It's called the Maui Nui Botanical Gardens Arbor Day 1000 Hawaiian Tree Giveaway. I remember that title because it's so long. So as I said, every first weekend in November, this year it's happening on Saturday, November 4th, right here at the gardens in Kahului. So Tamara, first of all, tell us about Maui Nui Botanical Gardens.
Well, we are a nonprofit public botanical garden. We're located right across the street from War Memorial Stadium at the old zoo site.
Right.
So it actually started as the county zoo. And while it was the county zoo, a Native Hawaiian, Renee Silver, who was a groundskeeper there, started planting native plants, and it eventually became the botanical garden, which was it was a kind of a private-public partnership between the county and community volunteers. Now, our mission is to foster an appreciation and understanding of the native and canoe plants of Maui County and their role in Hawaiian cultural expression.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And achieving that is successful through events like the Arbor Day that you guys host every year. That's something that's one of the events that we truly look forward to. And we've been partnering with Tamara, as I said earlier, for some time. But give us some insight on the event and help folks understand why the planting component, particularly of Hawaiian native plants, is so important.
Well, we've been doing this event, and this was actually the Arbor Day tree giveaway started with Department of Land and Natural Resources. They did it for at least a decade, if not much longer. Maui Nui took it over in 2003, and I believe Maui Electric has been our partner ever since. And we've distributed native. We initially decided that it would always be native trees because that's what our mission is all about. Is trying to promote more planting of native trees in the landscapes. Native trees save water if they're planted, if the right tree's in the right place. You definitely are using less water in your landscape because that tree's evolved to handle the conditions in your yard. They are, in some cases, we give away endangered species, and planting more endangered species and more native trees in general is a great way of hosting things like native invertebrates or insects in your landscape. It helps us in some cases just to keep those species around, and that wasn't the case, Kaui, about 20 years ago when I began. It was more, we really wanted to promote native species so that people would become fond of them and then, help our partner organizations to manage the natural areas. And that's still really important, but in some cases these plants are so rare that the last tree was located in someone's yard. So we're just trying to get as many of them out there and in people's yards and being cared for by as many people as possible now.
Right, and so much good comes from planting a tree, particularly our own native trees. For Maui Electric, there are so many reasons in addition to what Tamara shared with you for the good of this event. And how exactly does it relate to energy, right? Well, believe it or not, planting a tree in the right place at your home can actually help to save you money on your electric bills each month. And the key is planting it strategically. So what you're trying to do is cool your home. So you plant it in areas where you can actually cool your home, shade your home from the sun. Hopefully that'll result in less air conditioning use. And of course, that's going to result in less of an electric bill each month. So that's a great thing. And then there's a safety component to it as well. Yeah, planting the tree in the right place also applies when we're talking about utility lines or electrical lines, right? So when you select a location to plant your tree, be sure to look up. Be sure you're planting it in a place where there are no electrical lines up above. Tell us a little bit about the plants themselves. So Tamara actually bought us some samples. So tell us a little bit about what folks would see on November 4th.
Okay, so it is the 1,000 Hawaiian tree giveaway. However, we've been giving away more than 1,000 trees for quite a few years. So every person that comes can take a free tree, regardless of age. So bring the whole ohana and you get more trees. And what we're gonna have are, right now, we have in our nursery about 19 native and canoe plants. We have shrubs, we have woody shrubs, and we have trees up to very, very large trees, very small trees. And then of course Maui Electric will be providing at least another 500 trees from local native nurseries, and usually we'll have about 30 different native tree species to choose from, so you have a huge selection.
And you said something really important. It's all from local native nurseries. Yeah, yeah.
Native plant nurseries.
All supporting, our local farmers. Just
Definitely.
critical.
That's one thing that we like to do at Maui Nui too, is if you are interested in planting native plants and you don't know where to start, stop by, see what they look like in the landscape in our sandy soil, and we'd be happy to connect you with the people who grow these plants on large scale and grow lots of them and are in lots of different elevations. But about the trees at the event, I brought a few examples today just to talk a little bit about, one of 3 of the 19 species. So I have over here, there's 2 halapepe trees, and those are the ones with the long linear leaves behind me. And I love halapepe because it's just the most beautiful tree in the landscape. I don't know why more people aren't planting it. It's easy to grow. It is one that tends to grow in the wild starting at about 2,000 feet up to maybe about 4,000 feet elevation. But we have the one on the very far end here with the large leaves comes from Makua Forest Reserve, and we found it grows beautifully in the sandy soil at 30 feet elevation in Maui Nui Botanical Gardens. So you just have to try. And we grow these trees from seed. So one of the things I brought was 2 different kinds. This one with the smaller leaves comes from the Oahe area. And it doesn't grow as well at the botanical garden. So we always have a sort of an assortment of different places that the trees come from. And even in some cases, like with the ali'i trees, we have people who are working in natural areas. They bring the seeds to us, we grow them, and they just give them away right from their booth.
And the Oahe area, backside
like Leeward
Upakua Ranch.
Haleakala. Leeward Haleakala, and there's a big restoration program that's going on up there with the Leeward Haleakala Watershed Partnership.
Yes.
So halapepe is one of the major components of that forest, and it was a tree that was one of the 5 sacred trees to Laka, who's the goddess of hula. So really important as a plant that has to be on the altar with hula, and also used for carving ki'i, and has a beautiful whitish or reddish wood. Has these beautiful flowers that bloom, and it tends to stay very upright and column shaped. So if you have just a small space where you want to get some shade in there,
ideal.
It's ideal, yes. And then in the middle we've got ohialuhua, and that's the little shrubby ones. And you probably can't see too well, but ohialuhua is actually, the species name is polymorpha, which means many, many shapes. And it has, every seedling is completely different. And this is one of the plants that can grow all the way from 0 foot elevation sea level all the way up to about 7,000 feet. So very, very variable and can handle a lot of different habitats. It's a slow growing tree. So even though some ohialuhua trees can get to be 50 feet, it will be several decades before it gets that high. However, it's another plant that's sacred to Laka, goddess of hula, and it can be a little shrubby tree, it can be quite a tall tree, and the flowers are very valued for lei.
But that's a neat thing. I mean, being a plant that's slow growing, that's kind of a cool thing. It can be a generational plant, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Papa plants it, right? And it's there for grandkids and the next,
That's right,
it's kind
exactly.
of a cool thing to plant a tree for your ohana, yeah.
I hope that people will come and have that in mind when they choose their tree at this event. And then of course we have a fast-growing tall tree, which is koa. And strangely enough, this one is koa, and this one is also koa. And I don't know, a lot of people have seen this, but these are the juvenile leaves of koa. And just like some people, they mature at different rates, they become adults this is quite a tall tree, and yet it has only just started to have its mature leaves, and these are the true leaves. So the sickle-shaped leaves are the actual mature leaves, and a true mature koa will have these sickle-shaped leaves, and only this juvenile stage is when it has this type of a leaf. And the sickle-shaped leaves were to catch the mist that comes in, and it would drip out. It would actually be a shape that would catch mist and then drip off the tip. And then that, it actually, you can see in old koa forests, you can see that around the drip canopy of the tree is always where the greenest part is, and there's all kinds of other little plants that can live under the tree. So this is a real keystone species, fast growing, tends to be short-lived under 2,000 feet elevation. So very good long-lived tree for the upper elevations.
Upper elevations, yes.
And
Yes.
you know, we have so many more to show people. So we're going to have a lot of different experts that are going to be helping you choose a tree at this event on November 4th. The Maui Master Gardeners are the best. They come and they'll help you, connect you to the right tree for the right place. Because you know, for future generations, you don't want to plant a headache for them. That's for sure.
Absolutely not. Yeah. We want to pave the path forward and make it as
Yes.
smooth as we possibly can.
That's
Tama,
right.
thanks so much again for joining us.
Thank you.
Up next, stick around for our Getting to Know Miko segment, where you'll get to know Brittany Capps-Belimbin, who's our environmental engineer on our transmission and distribution team.
Hi, my name is Brittany Capps-Belimbin, and I'm the environmental compliance engineer for transmission and distribution. I grew up in a small town in Crofton, Kentucky. I graduated from Christian County High School, and I graduated in 2001 from Eastern Kentucky University with a degree in forensic science. I met my husband when I was still in college and visiting Maui. He was a surf instructor at the time, so my journey here started with a free surf lesson. My husband is Mr. Belimbin at Maui High School, and he sponsors the Voyaging Club and coaches the boys' surf team. My hobbies outside of work include running and working out at Wyside Gym and Fitness. On the weekends, my husband and I spend most of our time on the west side of the island. I enjoy my job because it requires me to be outdoors often, and it's also enabled me to learn a lot more about our protected and endangered species here on the island. I manage the waste at our base yards, I manage cleanups and write reports for any releases from our equipment. And I also work with different agencies and groups to help ensure that our infrastructure doesn't have a negative impact to our protected and endangered species. I'm Brittany Capps-Belimbin, and thank you for getting to know me.
Mahalo again for tuning in to Let's Talk Energy with Maui Electric, where we cover all things energy on Maui, Molokai, and Lanai. Today we talked about our continuous efforts to protect our island environment as we work towards a 100% renewable energy future. This episode will repeat every Tuesday night right here at 8 p.m. on Akako Channel 55 with a new episode on the first Tuesday of every month. And as always, we want to hear from you. This show is about education and it's about you. So if you have an energy question or a great idea for a future episode, drop us a line at letstalkenergy@mauielectric.com. Aloha, and we'll see you next time.